Welcome to this deep dive. We're going to be juicing out all the info from this guide on starting a mobile juice bar business.
Right.
And with, the wellness trend exploding, seems like a pretty good time for this, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a growing market. What's interesting here is this guide, it kind of positions a mobile juice bar as more than just like a food truck. It's like a mobile wellness hub.
I like that. Mobile wellness hub, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's taking that juice bar vibe, but on wheels, right? You're going to the people instead of waiting for them to come to you, like, festivals, markets, gyms even.
Yeah, exactly. The guide, it really stresses strategic location,
Hmm.
and understanding your customer, going where they already are. Like, say you're targeting fitness people, you set up near a gym after a spin class.
It makes sense. But if you're going for more of a general health conscious crowd, maybe farmers markets or those community events are better, I could already picture like the colorful fruit displays.
Yeah. Oh yeah, visuals are key. But this guide, it gets into the financial side too. It talks about a detailed financial model, looking beyond the obvious costs.
Okay, so beyond the truck itself and the equipment, what else should we be thinking about?
Well, things like insurance, permits, marketing stuff. It's all those hidden costs that can really add up.
So true. All right, let's talk about the actual startup costs. This guide says like 15,000 to 50,000 for the vehicle.
Hmm.
That's a pretty big range.
Right, and that's because a brand new custom truck, that's going to be at the high end, but a good used truck that can really bring the initial cost down.
Yeah, especially if you're just starting out. Now, on top of the vehicle, there's the equipment. Blenders, juicers, refrigerators, it all adds up. And this guide, it really emphasizes that professional look.
Oh yeah, got to look the part, right? But even beyond the equipment, there's permits and licenses. It's easy to forget about that stuff when you're thinking about the fun part.
It's like the less glamorous side of being an entrepreneur, right? All the,
Yeah.
the legal stuff. Okay, so let's say we've got the truck, the equipment, and all the paperwork is sorted. What about the day-to-day expenses?
Ingredient costs, that's a big one. And this guide really digs into like sourcing strategies. Think about it. Would you rather go to a juice bar using like exotic fruits or one that focuses on local seasonal stuff?
For me, it's freshness and supporting local farms. Plus, wouldn't that mean potentially lower costs for the business too?
Exactly. The guide even suggests building relationships with farmers markets. It's good for everyone. You get good ingredients, maybe at better prices, and you can market that local angle too.
That's a smart move. Okay, so we're talking about costs, but let's talk about making money. Realistically, how much can someone expect to earn with this mobile juice bar thing?
Well, the guide gives a range, but it really depends, on location, prices, what kind of drinks you're selling. But they say on average you could sell like 50 to 150 drinks a day with prices between $5 and $12.
Okay, so if you're hitting that average, that's a few $100s a day, maybe even close to 2,000.
Yeah.
But then there's also events, right?
Right. Like think festivals or catering for businesses. The guide says you can make $2,000 to $5,000 in a single day at those.
Wow, that's not bad for a day's work. Okay, but we talked about pricing strategy. How
Right.
do you balance like keeping it affordable for customers, but also making a profit? Do you think those premium add-ons like protein boosts or superfoods, do those help?
Oh, definitely. They have higher profit margins and they
Yeah.
appeal to customers who are, looking for specific benefits. But it's about finding that sweet spot. You got to be competitive with other juice bars, but also show the value of those extras.
That makes sense. So I'm curious, what kind of juice or smoothie would you pay extra for? What would make you say, all right, that's worth the extra couple bucks?
Hmm. For me, it'd have to be a unique ingredient, something you don't see everywhere. Maybe like a blueberry lavender smoothie or maybe a ginger turmeric one with like locally sourced honey, something with a handcrafted feel.
I like it. Okay, so we've covered location, costs, pricing.
And we're just getting started. This guide, it goes into so much more, like the pros and cons of franchising, how to stand out from the competition, even using technology in your business.
Wow, there's a lot to cover. But before we do, I want you, the listener, to think about what your ideal mobile juice bar would look like. What vibe would you create? What would make your business stand out? We'll be back in a bit to explore all that and more. Okay, so we've talked about like the mobile juice bar concept, the costs, and even some cool flavor ideas. But let's dig into why this business model is so attractive. this guide, it highlights some big advantages that I think are worth looking at.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the biggest ones, especially compared to a regular storefront, is the low overhead. You're not stuck with a lease, paying rent for a space you might not even use all the time.
Yeah, that's huge, especially when you're first starting out. It frees up so much money to put back into the business. And speaking of freedom, the flexibility is pretty appealing too. You can go where the people are, you know.
Exactly. The guide talks about that agility, being able to follow trends, set up shop at events. You could even chase the sunshine if you're somewhere cold.
I love that. Chasing the sunshine with a truck full of juice. Sounds like a pretty good life.
Yeah.
But beyond the flexibility, there's also scalability. You can start small, build up your customer base, and then maybe even look into franchising.
That's where it gets really interesting. Franchising, it can be a really powerful way to grow, but it's not without its downsides. This guide, it really encourages you to think about the pros and cons. Like on the one hand, you're reaching more people, making more money, but on the other hand, you're giving up some control over your brand.
Yeah, that's a good point. Franchising, it sounds tempting, but would you be losing some of what makes your juice bar special, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
The personality, the local connection, wouldn't that get lost?
That's a valid concern. The guide, it talks about finding the right franchise model, one that fits with your vision. It might be better for someone who's more focused on growing quickly and less worried about controlling everything.
Makes sense. Okay, so let's say we're not franchising for now. We're focused on building our own unique brand. How do you stand out when there's so much competition out there?
The guide really pushes differentiation. You can't just offer, good juice and smoothies. You need something special, something that sets you apart.
Okay, so beyond the obvious stuff like using good ingredients, organic maybe, what else can you do? What are some creative strategies from the guide?
Think about your branding, your story, how you connect with the community. Maybe you get all your ingredients from local farms and you share their stories online. Maybe you have a unique loyalty program or you partner with fitness studios for special
But I
deals.
like those ideas. It's about more than just selling a drink. It's about creating an experience.
Mm.
Now, we talked about connecting with the community. I'm curious about the eco-friendly part of all this. It's so popular now. Did the guy get into specifics?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's not just about, paper straws and compostable cups. The guide talks about sourcing locally to reduce your carbon footprint. They even suggest using energy efficient equipment for your truck and maybe even composting your food waste.
Wow, they've really thought this through. But let's be honest. Does going green actually help a business make more money?
I think so, yeah. People are more and more willing to pay a little extra for things that align with their values. If you make it clear that you're eco-friendly, that can attract customers who care about that.
So it's good for the planet, A&D good for business. Okay, cool. Now,
Mm.
the guide also mentions technology, which we talked about a little bit before. But how can tech shape the future of mobile juice bars? I mean, are there things we're not even thinking about yet?
One thing that's really interesting is personalization. Imagine using data to like recommend specific drinks to people based on their tastes, their dietary needs, even their fitness goals.
That's wild. It's like having a personal nutritionist on wheels.
Yeah.
But what about other tech stuff? What else is coming down the pipeline?
Well, the guide talks about artificial intelligence, AI. That could be used for like everything, managing your inventory, planning your route, even predicting how much juice people will want based on the weather or what events are happening.
It's like the future is both high tech A&D still about that personal touch.
Mm.
But with all this stuff to think about, it's easy to get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
What advice would you give someone who's just starting out in this business?
I'd say stay curious, stay flexible, and don't be afraid to try new things. That's the great thing about this model. It's so adaptable. You can start small, see what works, and change with the market.
Yeah, I like that. It's not about having all the answers right away. It's about the journey, right?
Mhm.
So for our listener who's been listening to all this, what's the one thing you want them to remember as they start their mobile juice bar adventure?
I think it's important to remember that this business it's about more than just, making a good drink. It's about connecting with people, giving them something healthy and delicious and making a positive impact. If you focus on that, the success will follow.
Well said. And with that, let's shift gears and look at the future proofing strategies. What's coming next for this industry? What should new juice bar owners be thinking about as they build their businesses? Okay, so we've talked about like, starting a mobile juice bar, how to make it stand out, all that. But now let's zoom out a bit. What's happening in the bigger picture? What trends are shaping this whole industry?
Well, this guide, it highlights a few things that I think are really important. First off, the focus on health and wellness, that's not going away. People are more and more careful about what they eat and drink.
So it's not just about like a sugary treat anymore. It's got to be like actually good for you, right? Does the guide have any tips for appealing to those customers?
Yeah, it talks about going beyond just listing the ingredients. Like you could highlight the benefits of each drink. Maybe you have immune boosting juices or a smoothie that helps with recovery after a workout.
Oh, I like that. It's like a mobile pharmacy, but with good flavors.
Yeah.
So what other trends are we seeing?
Sustainability. That's a big one. People care about the environment, you know. This guide, it really pushes for eco-friendly practices in every part of the business.
We talked about local ingredients and using compostable cups and stuff.
Mhm.
But what about the truck itself? Can you even make like the mobile part more sustainable?
Definitely. The guide mentions alternative fuels like biodiesel or even electric trucks. And they talk about working with local composting programs so you're not creating as much waste.
That's pretty cool. It's good to see that they're thinking about all that. But honestly, does being green actually make a business more profitable?
I think it can, yeah. A lot of people are willing to spend a bit more if they know a company is doing things the right way. If you tell people about your eco-friendly practices, that can bring in more customers.
So it's win-win,
Yeah.
right? Good for the planet, good for business.
Mhm.
Now this guide, it also talks about technology, which we've mentioned a couple times. But how can tech really change the future of mobile juice bars? Like, are there things we haven't even thought of yet?
One area that's really interesting is personalization.
Hmm.
Imagine like using data to give people custom drink recommendations, based on what they like, what they can't have, maybe even their fitness goals.
Whoa, that's taking it to a whole other level.
Yeah.
It's like having a juice genie or something. But besides that, what other cool tech stuff is out there?
Well, the guide talks about AI, artificial intelligence. They say that can be used for pretty much everything, like keeping track of your ingredients, figuring out the best routes to drive, even predicting how much juice you'll sell based on the weather or if there's a big event happening nearby.
It's amazing what technology can do these days. So it sounds like the future of mobile juice bars, it's going to be this mix of high tech and that personal touch, which is really cool. But with all this stuff to think about, it can be a bit much. What advice would you give to someone who's just starting out?
I'd say don't be afraid to experiment. Try new things, see what works. The beauty of this business model is that it's so flexible. You can adapt, you can change with the market, and most importantly, stay curious.
I love that. It's not about having all the answers right away. It's about learning and growing along the way.
Mhm.
So for our listener who's been with us this whole time, what's the one thing you want them to take away from this deep dive?
I think it's important to remember that this isn't just about making money. It's about creating something special. It's about connecting with your community, offering them something healthy and delicious. If you can do that, the success it'll come naturally.
That's a great way to put it. And on that note, we're going to wrap things up. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of mobile juice bars.
Yeah.
We'll catch you next time for another deep dive into a topic that's sure to quench your thirst for knowledge.